Hello, everyone. Today we are making a birthday card, and I am going to be using some very specific colors, which I picked out my colors and then didn't bring them over to my laptop. Holy moly. I might need to delete this. Okay, so colors that I'm going to be using. I want magenta, cad yellow deep, and I think it's called cerulean blue. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to get my white. I don't think I need black for this painting, but I'm going to grab it anyways. Um, I normally keep all my paints on my desk, and I just throw them in a bin. So, colors today, cerulean blue, magenta, cad yellow deep. So the reasons that I'm picking these colors is because a few, oh, I don't even know, a few videos ago, I painted all of the colors and mixed them to kind of get color palettes of things that I like the direction I want to go with this painting. So right off the bat, for this particular painting, I want to do a sunset. So I'm going to want kind of a deeper yellow. So then looking at the deep yellows, um, uh, the greens that I'm kind of aiming for are definitely more in this realm. So kind of a sunset with this green. And so looking at the reds that kind of pair with this green are the magenta. So the red and the green are both muted. Also, the purple that is created, if I were to use that, is also muted. So I like that color palette. And one piece of really good advice that I got, or actually I think I found it online with his name is Jed Dorsey. He recommended definitely sticking to three colors that work well together, and then go from there. So I'm going with the cadmium yellow deep, magenta, and then cerulean blue. And I'm not even gonna bother to put black on yet because for right now, I know that I don't need it. So those are my colors that I'm going to be using. And I'm just going to start with just a plain flat brush. I'm using a watercolor paper. And so it's, first of all, it's going to buckle because I didn't put gesso on. I bought gesso with the intention of doing that and then just didn't. So I'm just going to go with a little strip of white, and then I'm going to kind of go right into that yellow. I'm not even cleaning my brush. Um, and then I'm going to add just a little bit more water to get kind of a sunsetty look. My last birthday card that I made with a sunset was definitely more cool, like as in cool colors. So now I'm going to get up into the magenta. And so just because this soaks up the paint so much faster than I can mix it, I'm going to mix on my palette. And magenta will uh, overpower the yellow. Reds are always quite a bit more powerful than the yellow. Usually when I mix, I do a 3-to-1, and that was way more. So that's just kind of that's not even close to a muted orange. It's pretty bright. So I'm gonna add the white to that just to lighten that up, give us that more of a sunsetty orange. And that looks good to me. Adding lots of water so that it applies nicely. And then I'll go back in and add more water to get it to blend. And I'm going to clean a little bit of this orange off the brush. So just getting water on here just to get those two colors to blend. And then it doesn't really matter if those are mixing into the yellow because sunset is never perfect. So now I've got definitely more oranges, very warm colors for this card. And now I'm going to get the magenta with the cerulean blue. And on my practice, uh, my little color guide. I did 50/50, and it creates this very nice dark purple, um, which will not blend very nicely with the orange. So I am going to start with a line of magenta just so that there is a decent transition in between those two colors. And again, I'm adding quite a bit of water to my magenta just so that it sticks nicely to the canvas. I'm just going to kind of add almost like a straight line of red in there just so that orange can transition into the purple very nicely. And that was maybe a little too watered down, so I'm gonna add just a little bit more that dark magenta in with the orange. The magenta is really quite beautiful for thinking of this as a sunset, just a really bright color. And now I'm going back into that purple that I made that um, adding some water to that. Not a whole lot of purple on here, way too watered down. So getting some on the bottom. I'm gonna have to make some more less watered down. And just and there's now water on this card too, so definitely having some issues blending. That's okay. Just go back in with a nice clean brush. It's just got a hint of water on it and get those colors to blend. And this is where, so like, for example, phthalo is good at making black. This might be a good place where I could add just a little bit of phthalo. Um, I'm going to actually pull the card just to see what magenta and phthalo looks like. Maybe. So it's definitely more blue, less purple. So that is not what we're hoping for with this particular picture. So this is the yellow is just about dry. So I'm gonna draw kind of just a line where I think the sun, oops, where the sun kind of would be. That very light, light brush strokes, kind of drawing the horizon with white paint, showing kind of where that sun. It looks like this is kind of the lightest place, so I'm gonna actually just expand this piece a little bit to kind of show that that's where the sun is in this particular painting, and then expand that lighter color up and down. That gives us the sunset. And this is where we're going to want to make some green. So I want to get some trees in the background. This purple and the pink is a little watered down, so I would like to thicken that up before I start adding trees. So doing a really big scoop of blue, cerulean blue with magenta, just to get a healthier amount of paint on the card. So, and it also darkened it up, so that's good. We wanted to have a little bit of a darker sky, not so watered down. That looks good. And same as on the bottom, just a hint of this purple down on the bottom. And then also we'll need just a hint of that magenta too. Just plain magenta. Just to get that. This magenta is just not going on the paper very thick. That's okay. And I can kind of like, it'll make the sky look really interesting. You have to kind of finesse it into the paper. This is what I get for not prepping the paper with gesso. Now, I really like that kind of wavy look to it, so I'm going to go up into this blue and just add and kind of blend those with kind of some texture in the sky. And then I'm going to, I won't have to do too much of that on the bottom because it's just such a small area that has the magenta. Just, oops, oopsie, just a small amount to show the reflections will obviously be some water, and then just getting a little bit of that magenta down into the purple, bringing a little bit of the purple up into the magenta. And I actually like the way that turned out so much that I would like to continue getting some of that into the orange. I really like this texture. It almost looks like clouds. So, just getting the magenta or the orange and the magenta kind of blending together. And then it really darkened up so I went with a lighter over top to this light orange is actually a lot lighter than it's showing up because there's that dark underlay. I'm getting some of those darker colors up. And then same here, bringing some of those darker colors down. This, the sky is looking really cool. And then just into the straight yellow. At this rate, this person is just gonna get a sunset card with landscaping. So just getting the yellow, kind of a darker yellow, and with that orange. I actually kind of want to darken that orange with quite a bit more yellow, just so that it just kind of goes into the yellow a little bit more. So we're going with just easing each color into the next, but definitely choppy brush strokes, and it's might not be so easy to see on the camera, but these watercolor cards have like big vertical lines, which would be hidden if I had done gesso, but I think I'm gonna pause for a little bit and let this dry, and then we'll do the horizon, which should have some trees on it. All right, so I only really needed to pause the video for about a minute. This paper is super absorbent. So the next thing that we're gonna do, the paint's still wet, a little wet on top and bottom, but my goal is to get the horizon line in. And so a couple of colors that I'm gonna mix are my green. I'm gonna do some trees, pretty standard, pretty standard landscape for me. I love my trees. So I'm doing a bigger scoop. I'll probably have a lot of trees. So I'm doing two big scoops of yellow, and usually with blues, I need one scoop of blue. So I'm not exactly sure how this green is going to turn out. It's a little bright for a sunset. I think it's definitely bright. So that's okay. I'm just going to leave it as is because I will need some black for these trees. And once again, when we looked at the magenta with phthalo, it definitely was more of a blue color. I'm just going to have a little bit of black on the palette. And I'm using Mars Black, so that is a cool black, and I've got a cool red and a cool blue, but then I have the warm yellow. So just kind of playing around with those cool and warm colors. So the the reds, the purples, they're going to be super vibrant, but then the orange is definitely muted, and the green's going to be muted. So I'm going to start out with, I'm not going to water down my paint just because I am doing just a straight line. I'm going to kind of stay under this kind of white blob that I made that will be the imaginary sun in this landscape. Just doing a horizontal line, pretty simple, right? So I do want to leave this part open, so then I'm going to just kind of expand this into a little bit of a hill. Um, Maybe get a tiny bit of water on my brush. It's sticking just a little bit. So just getting a little bit of water to get it so that it doesn't stick much, but maybe add some hills. And some, I mean, honestly, I'm just letting the brush tell me what we should have here. So we got some hills. And then I really kind of like it simple with just the hills. So then on the bottom here, I'll add a white line later. We'll just keep some little black lines in the water to show where the hills are located. I got lots of just some, and then definitely like the idea of some maybe little. These are not very. I don't have a very dry brush. Get there we go. Get some nice mystery um, trees, uh, grass, something that's kind of growing back here on these little low-lying hills in the distance. So again, trying to keep my sun somewhat protected from these low-lying trees or grasses or whatever mystery objects that they are. I'm also kind of consciously filling up my brush on the ends so that my sun isn't getting overpowered by whatever these little brush things are. And then we can also add those kind of in the bottom. Just add in little hints of those reflections. It's got a nice little lake sunset going on. And I kind of like the idea of maybe something in the foreground. And this is where, maybe that's where that green will come in. So just making maybe maybe this lake has, kind of a shoreline across from it that covers up this little corner. And I just realized that that doesn't cover up all the paint. So I'm getting just straight black on the brush. And then sometimes lakes have, little jetties that are out. So it'll be straight across from the bottom. But then it just kind of has a little piece of land. You got kind of a lake here. And this one will have just a little bit of that, those little grass things, but maybe this one will have a tree on it. These will both have just a little of those grasses. It's got kind of a rough edge to it. And get some shadows in the bottom. And this is actually really, really good by itself, but definitely want to get this little tree kind of in the going on in here. So this looks like it's going to be a nice big tree. I'm actually going to just make the big branch. Get some of these branches brought in. Kind of looks like I have two trees going on here. Maybe I have sister trees. I kind of like two trees instead of one. Sister trees for male family members, so maybe brother trees instead. So yeah, you can kind of pick if you want brother trees or sister trees. Very much like the branches. And then this one over here, like, maybe we'll have this little land piece that I got going on. Maybe just a little sapling, but nothing nothing too crazy though. This is just a little jetty of land. We don't want to. Well, of course I keep messing with it, and so it's turning into a monster tree. So just a little, definitely not no longer a sapling because I keep messing with it. I could make trees all day. If I want any viewers on my channel, maybe I should stop making trees. So I got my trees, and that paint is drying. And because the sun is setting, I don't know entirely if the green is going to show up or not. It's going to be way too bright, but I'm kind of getting my cheap brush. I kind of like the idea of just going over with just the tiniest amount of black and then highlighting it. And we'll see if that works for getting, I'm just going to kind of get some very loose ideas of branches. We're going into summer, so the trees are budding. They're not, maybe by the time that this video publishes, they won't be quite this active, but just little buds of trees or a big blob of paint like I made there. So just very little tree. It's like almost like it's the beginning of spring. All right, so I'm gonna grab just the tiniest amount of black with a big scoop of green and see if I can get kind of I don't know, just a darker green, somewhere halfway between these two. And then go back in and do the same thing and just kind of see if I can get, if I even like that green color. I honestly can't even tell that there's green on here. It's not going to show up very well against all these other bright colors. But just the hint of a green. I can see just a little bit. I'm also going to take this brush and just maybe add some of that green, making it just almost visible. We're talking just barely visible amounts of green in the foreground. Sometimes at sunset you can see just a hint of color. And now I'm going to try that very light color of green and see how I like that. I'll try it over here where there. Very much I'm glad I went with the black first because you can just barely see these little green leaves with the sunset going on in the background. Just about springtime. This particular family member I know, he likes fishing, so maybe, I don't know if it's fishing season. I don't know enough about fishing, but maybe he's out on the lake with his family and can get some more of those green grass growing around these trees. Just that hint of green. Honestly, on the camera, you can't even tell that I'm putting any of this green in here. It is really only visible if this family member really were to dig in. Hopefully, hopefully they frame it and love this. If not, I saved it on YouTube for memory. Keep forgetting to save pictures of my stuff. All right. Last thing to do every painting is to sign it. And got a nice little spot down here. All right, we'll see you next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day.